stepping in as well.
Over the top. I mean, that was a full force shot to the temple. I mean, he's right now. So they wipe off his gloves, but you look at him like he's really feeling it right now. I mean, he probably has no idea where he is.
When I'm going to take your soul, and you're either going to give up or you're going to get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct, you just will never be a good fighter.
Likely that one big shot's going to land if the guy's not throwing other shots. So I thought with less artillery in the air, less bombs in the air, that the guy would have a chance to get to later rounds.
The final outcome is already set, and it's brutal. This night didn't just knock out Jake Paul, it shattered the illusion of crossover boxing. Careers shifted, egos cracked, all before the canvas even cooled. Rewind, because how we got here matters more than the punch itself. Joe Rogan was laughing ringside like he'd already seen the ending. And let's be honest, everyone knew. The moment a former Olympic gold medalist heavyweight stepped in, this was never a real fight. It was a countdown. And if you're upset already, good, because there's more coming that nobody's admitting yet.
Well, realistically, it's one of the craziest propositions of all time. You take a guy who just had a boxing match that looks like a sparring match with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, and then you're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists in the...
I watched Rogan lean toward Joshua and smirk, as if the story had already been written. He said what no one wanted to say aloud. Real boxing doesn't care about hype, followers, or narratives. When Jake hit the canvas, the shock wasn't the fall, it was the confirmation of reality snapping shut. Jake usually faces aging MMA legends or retired names. Now, he was staring at a two-time heavyweight champion with nuclear timing. Rogan even said the result was never in doubt. If that's true, then who let this happen? And why did it feel like someone wanted this lesson televised?
It's not just physical, it's psychological. And when you understand the psychological warfare, I did say to you that, Jake, what's going to happen? I'm going to see a time when I'm going to take your soul, and you're either going to give up or you're going to get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct...
After the fight, Joshua didn't soften his words. He said the early knockout saved Jake from something worse, slower, uglier, and more brutal. People didn't fully grasp what he meant. He wasn't bragging, he was warning. If the fight dragged on, Joshua would have dismantled Jake physically, mentally, and emotionally. When a champion says a clean finish was mercy, it's a time bomb statement. Who pushed this matchup, knowing the stakes?
Because straight after the fight, I heard the question being posed to Joshua, will he now fight Fury? And then my first thought was, after what I've seen, who cares? After that, who cares if Joshua fights Fury? I like Anthony Joshua immensely, Spencer. Any exchanges I've had with him, I think he comes across terrifically well. But I fail to see where it's taken us, where it's taken him, other than hugely increasing his bank balance. You know, I really fail to see what this has done.
Well, it's done nothing, but he was going to fight in November, like I said, and he's just gone in there against Jake Paul. What has it done for his legacy? Absolutely zero. But it was, you know, he's earned a lot of money doing that. And he's going to go again, and he's going to fight possibly February, March, and then there's that Tyson Fury fight that's looming that could happen in September, whether Tyson Fury decides to come out of retirement or not come out of retirement. For Anthony Joshua, he's earned a hell of a lot of money. This is prize fighting, and that's what it's all about. And that's what he's done. And
the world split instantly. Half called it a money grab. Half whispered that maybe Jake was ready. Both sides missed the point. Joshua isn't a test, he's a wall. Olympic gold, world titles, years of elite competition. And Jake is still building credibility brick by brick. When that right hand ended the night, Simon Jordan called it a dark day. When broadcasters say the sport looks like a joke, it's not outrage, it's fear. And here's the thing nobody wants to admit. That line can't be uncrossed.
Earning more than Joshua. That apart, Spencer, 6 rounds to get Paul out of there. Reputationally, how does it leave AJ?
Well, thankfully it didn't go to points, because I think that would have been a disaster for Anthony Joshua. I think that he needed to get the job done inside the distance, you know, and he done it. Look, he could have done it at any given point. I think that he could have cut the ring off whenever he wanted to and got Jake Paul out of there. He took his time on that. He allowed Jake Paul to run around like a rabbit and throw the occasional shot from time to time. And I think he only landed one clean punch, didn't he, Anthony Joshua? And that was the one that broke his jaw in 2 places.
But I mean, you said, did you not, to us in this very studio the other day, he's got to get him out of there in round 1.
I did.
Otherwise, what we see.
Exactly that, you know, and I think what we saw there was a little bit of entertainment, and that was pretty much it. But not entertainment that many people enjoyed, if I'm honest. I think that people wanted.
Simon Jordan continued, his tone colder and quieter. He said these fights blur competition with social media entertainment, stealing attention from fighters who earned it the hard way. If that sounds like old man talk, listen closer. Joshua has already done everything and doesn't need circus chaos to stay relevant. And here's a second teaser. If someone with everything is still pulled into this circus, it means someone else is controlling the strings, and they're far from finished.
This is a giant Olympic gold medalist heavyweight. I mean, Anthony Joshua is
He is the
terrifying.
thing that nightmares are made of.
And he's got that one-punch nuclear power. One punch.
The legacy talk made my stomach turn. People asked what this did for Joshua. The answer? Nothing, except a fatter bank account and a louder question mark. If the fight had gone to points, it would have been a disaster, and everyone knew it. Joshua ended it because he had to. But paranoia creeps in. When fights are framed as entertainment instead of danger, you forget what happens when real danger shows up. Tonight, danger showed up early and smiled.
Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul shared a ring. Your takeaways from the 6 rounds that we saw, presuming you watched?
I was impressed with Jake Paul. I thought that, following on from what we're saying, right? A few years ago, he was on Disney as a kid, acting up, and has decided to become a professional fighter. That takes balls, but he's obviously striving to be as good as he can be. You can see that in the way that he moves, the way that he is developed in how he's punching and performing. But to make a 2-time world heavyweight champion that's still live, you know, AJ's still got something about him, to make him miss in such an accomplished manner. All right, so at times he was jumping out and running around, but there were times when he was well in range and still making AJ unable to land a clean, solid shot. He deserves a lot of respect for that. And then the shot that actually finished the fight, that broke his jaw quite badly, didn't put him out. That shot's that shot he threw with serious intention has put a lot of professional heavyweights to sleep. He didn't go to sleep. He actually finished on his knees, didn't he? Laughing and spitting blood out of his mouth. So, like they say, like it's a special type of crazy and a special type of brave to do it. But I actually hats off to him, because he showed that he's developing some accomplished little skills in there to look after himself. The size difference is always going to fatigue him.
I know everyone will come with the idea that, well, AJ should just go in there 1 round and smash him to bits, and that should be it was a big ring, right? Perhaps he could have cut the ring off a bit better, but would I be right in saying that regardless of skill level, if you forget about that with the 2 for a second, if someone is on the back foot on their bike and doing what Jake was doing, it's difficult no matter who you are, no matter the kind of separation in skill level.
It's a big ring, and you've either got to run at him and look like a novice yourself, or just take your time and understand.
Rogan doubled down afterward, and if you blinked, you missed how ominous it was. He called Joshua one of the most athletic heavyweights ever, moving like a middleweight trapped in a nightmare. That statement alone should end all crossover fantasies. Speed and knockout power together don't allow learning curves, you get endings. Rogan also said putting Jake or Logan in there makes no sense, yet people still talk as if it's inevitable. Why?
Would be more of a mismatch than Jake Paul. You know what I mean? Because at least Jake Paul has taken boxing, or has trained with real boxing trainers in real boxes. Whereas Logan Paul, you know, he did that exhibition with Floyd, and Floyd's a little guy. Not saying a little guy can't thump, because Floyd really gave him some 2 pieces with no sides, right? But at the same time, you take his friend, Floyd's friend, Anthony Joshua, and get hit by him and see what happens. The same thing. probably worse because I think Logan, you know, he's a little taller than Jake. And because he's a little taller than Jake, he may think he's a little stronger than Jake. Which I don't know which one's true or not. I don't think it makes a difference. But because he may feel that way, he may want to go in there and try to bang it out with AJ. And if that happens, it's going to be a lot quicker. See, that 6 rounds it took AJ to finally catch Jake. It took that way because Jake was on that bicycle, moving, being elusive, trying to come in and then come out. He tried to do a very poor man's Alexander Usyk, right? And it didn't work for him. Logan ain't gonna do that. Logan's gonna come in throwing punches and bunches like he did with Floyd, trying to get him in there and, you know, do all this stuff. And what's gonna happen as soon as AJ lines him up, sets his punch, he's gonna hit Jake and he's gonna break Jake down.
Then Adam Booth stepped in, and that's where things got weird. He actually gave Jake credit. I didn't expect it. Booth said Jake made Joshua miss at times, and showed real ring IQ. That should feel hopeful, but it doesn't. Because Booth snapped it back to reality. Once Joshua adjusted, it was over. Improvement didn't save him, and it won't save the next guy either. That's the scariest part. The Logan Paul whisper started immediately. I laughed, then stopped. Analysts shut it down hard, saying it would be comedy for all the wrong reasons. Jake trains full-time and still got caught. Logan splits focus, treats it like a hobby. And here's the dangerous part. People were daring disaster to happen again, arguing Logan could last. Instead of ending the conversation, it fueled it. They compared the brothers, and it stung more than the knockout. They admitted Jake actually took boxing seriously and earned professional respect. That's supposed to be the silver lining, but stacked against a shattered jaw and a laughing ringside legend, it feels paper-thin. Respect has a limit. When analysts say Logan would make boxing look like a circus, they aren't exaggerating, they are predicting. And predictions like that have a way of tempting fate. By the end, everyone tried to wrap it up neatly. I refused. They said 2 stories came out of this fight. Either crossover boxing is killing the sport, or Jake deserves respect for stepping up. Both can be true, and still end badly. Skill, experience, and real power always win. But the bill always comes due somewhere else. And nobody is talking about who pays it when the cameras shut off. I keep replaying Rogan's laugh. It wasn't cruel, it was resigned. Like watching gravity do what gravity always does. And that scares me more than outrage, because resignation means expectation. Expectation means this wasn't an accident. If it wasn't, there are meetings, contracts, nods behind the scenes we'll never see. I don't like where that trail leads, not one bit.